Hi, everyone. This is John from AU Pack Mule. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8 one more time. I have an awesome guest today. Al, RedSox fan, has been around forever. He's known as the biggest Stark lover ever. Almost as big of a Stark lover as Fandom D Saint is a Cersei lover. And we're going to talk about all things Game of Thrones, not just the Starks. But Al, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it coming on a Sunday, and you're most appreciated.
Well, thank you for having me, AU. I'm greatly appreciated that you'll have me on. It's gonna be a lot of fun to talk some Game of Thrones, and I just like to say thank you to everyone who's in the chat. And AU, you do a wonderful job with these interviews. It was so happy to see you back, and this was a great project to come back to. Talking about a show we all love. Nothing better than Game of Thrones. It's one of the few shows I actually still watch. I'm a big Walking Dead fan, and I don't even watch that every Sunday. I'll catch up on it. So this is the one show I literally will sit and go, I'm watching this show. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Remember when they leaked, what was it, 2 seasons ago? They leaked the first 4 episodes.
Right.
And people like, and then so when the shows came up, I kept waiting for, well, I want to watch the next 3. I want to watch the next 3, just do it right in a row. So, but thank you very much for having me on, and thank you to the great people in the chat.
Yeah, you're awesome. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to all the other people that have been here, including Tony Teflon, Johnny B. Crazy, Kyle, Marie, and T-Baby's been here, and so has Monero Geek TV. I also wanted to thank all the people that are in the chat, including Danny McKay, Reese O, Bubba Husky, Peter Griffin, Nancy T, and Nancy, love you so much. You've just been awesome. Nine Nichols is here, Catherine Hardig, and so is the Imagination Realm, Carrie Neves, and quite a few more. I'm going to scroll down to the current, make sure I didn't miss anybody, because I know I always do, and then I smack myself. Bobby Catalano is here.
Yep. Bobby's my Twitter wife.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So, we were talking a little bit offline before you went live, and I said it's going to be. I said it, and then you brought up a really good point. I'm going to be a little sad when the show is gone. I've really enjoyed it. It's something to look forward to, and it's interesting. The storylines are great, and again, this was a show. If you told me 10 years ago that I would like this show, I would say you're nuts, because dragons and stuff like that. But it's very interesting, and I watched the first season, and then I was like, I want the books, because I do things backwards, and so I do enjoy the show. So thank you.
Awesome. Lady Dreamfire and Meridian Mormont is also here, and John Taylor and Travis Michael. I want to make sure we got everybody, include him, Fandom D Saint. We just mentioned him.
OTDA.
OTDA. How did I miss David? I don't know how. I'm sorry, buddy. You're always there for me, so thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So
all hail the Empire, OTDA.
One of the things that I love about your channel is you do a lot of sports broadcasting on your channel, and when you have your chat live streams, you are like a human ping pong ball. You will bounce over every subject so fast, and I'm just the opposite. I'm slow, turtle, methodical. I'll get there eventually. So I love the contrast there. So this will be fun.
Yeah, no, this is going to be good, because I get to talk I have I'm lucky to have a panel of friends who come on, because when I first started chat with Al, it was just me literally reading comments and talking about channels I liked to help promote them. And first of all, I like to say we have a wonderful community, not just the sports sim community, but I like to say it's eclectic. We have yourself, Living My Rhapsody, Fandom D Saint, and many other channels. What's Blazing in Sports, T-Dub, boxing. We do all kinds of different things. You have JD, the original Grognard OG, Ron Juckett, Uncle Ron, as we affectionately call him, with Retro Sports Network, Chris from Stratomatic, Delaware, and of course, the Dog Show, and many more that I don't want to go through because it's your, we're here for that. But we have such a fun, eclectic community, and I always say this: support those who support you. Go check out all the different, you might not be into sports sims, or the sports sims people might not be in this TV show, but you know what? There's been a few crossovers. Bobby Cantilano comes to all of our streams. It's hilarious, and people wait for Bobby because they like to chat with her. And it's all, I get it. Sometimes it's a sports stream, and you're not there really to watch me babble about a fake sport game I'm doing, and it's just a place to meet and have fun. So I love our community, and I call it the FOC. Well, originally that was friends of friends of the channel, but it's friends of the community now. The FOC for life.
For life, exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I love I used to be. I was born in Miami, so I was a huge Dolphins fan, obviously.
Oh no!
And so, when you do the AFC East games, it just brings back so many memories because I was not at the games, but I was there watching, and it's just been epic to see you do those, and can't believe that you haven't been picked up by some sort of an announcing job, even if you were to do it remotely, it would have been awesome.
It's a lot of fun to do, and don't want to stick too long on the sports sim thing, but you hit it on the head. It just brings back memories, and the people who most watch me and the people I most watch, we're around the same age, slightly younger, slightly older, and that's the common theme. The memories it brings back, and then it brings back the camaraderie. Last night on the show, I just brought up to some people, excuse me, like, what got you into sports? Because I knew they were all sports fans. And it's like the same thing, what got you into music or what got you into movies? Usually it's a family member or a friend, and I always find that as an interesting story, what got you into a passion. And as you get older, with sports at least, it's not like life. Well, for me, it's not life and death anymore. Like when I was a kid, the Red Sox lose to the Yankees in '78, and I'm like, and it's not like that anymore. It's only one quick now. So.
One of the suggestions I have for you, and I was going to mention it on air, so this is it. I want you to announce the big occurrences that happen on Game of Thrones.
That'd be fun.
All of the episode 9s. I want to hear when Ned Stark gets his head cut off by Al, the Red Sox fan.
Oh, like do it like a sports.
Yes.
It's funny. I used to do Walking Dead live, right? Where
you're kidding.
Dave, Phantom D Saint would come on, like he'd watch, and then he wouldn't. He didn't stay too long, but then eventually he would stay because he does his show. Sure. I mean his great recaps. But I had a PB4 Gaming, this young man from Connecticut would come on, and it was only me and him first, and he would just laugh. He goes, you got it. He just said what you said. You go, do play-by-play.
Yeah.
And we would sit there and I do this goofy play-by-play. And we had this was one of the first things I started to stream, and it'd be 10 people every week would watch.
Yeah.
And it was just fun, where you're just doing this goofy play-by-play. That's funny you mentioned that. That'd be interesting. But there's so many wonderful
it's one thing that hasn't been done, and I think he would be the best one for it.
There's so many wonderful Game of Thrones channel out there. I'd be remiss not to mention Phil, the Issues guy, who motivated me to do some streaming.
Nice.
That's another wonderful channel like yourself and many others. And Tony Teflon, he knows boxers. I'm almost sure he wrote a book with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, he has a kid's
book. Yeah, I saw that. I came across that somewhere. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, if you haven't got it's available on Amazon. So
yeah, I'm gonna check that out because I came across that when I was looking up something. I was like, that's. And then someone was talking about that also. I don't know who's streaming. I was like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on our stream on Friday night of last week. So
I must have missed that early.
That's all right. So let's get into Game of Thrones season 8.
Yes.
As you said, it's going to be a little bittersweet because it's going to be the end of a long-term relationship we've had with these characters. But as I was saying to you earlier, we've got 2 new books that are going to be coming out, in my opinion, right after the show is over. And then we're going to be getting the prequels, which are being filmed this summer. So I'm really excited about the end, and I'm not as sad about the it being the end. Um, but it sounded to me like you were ready for this to continue forever.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it because it's just a good storyline. And I thought, here's my theory on why they're ending it so quick. I think without knowing anything, and if someone does know, they can either say I'm right, wrong, or whatever. I think they realize there's a lot of contracts coming up for the actors and actresses, and I think they're not going to have them under control anymore, or they have to do projects or this or that. And I also think some of it is Dave and whatever, is it Dave and Dave, whatever,
David
D and
Dan.
D, yeah, Dave and Dan. I think they're just burnt out. Um, I think they're ending it quick, but sometimes maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if they went on a few more seasons, then I would have been like, oh, they dragged it out, But I thought okay, we have 6 more episodes left. I just hope we don't get the usual 15 minutes before the episode actually. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know what I mean. The whole lead. Let's just get to the episode. Music episode. Let's go. So I think something had to do with it, that they're worried that they couldn't get all the actors back if they continued, or when the contracts came up, you're going to go through negotiations where, I want more money. I'm more important than the other person. That's just my theory, because it seemed like all of a sudden they wanted to rush to end it. And it's one of HBO's biggest, rated shows. People get HBO just to watch that show. That was like when The Sopranos were on, in a way. You got that to watch that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think HBO has many more subscriptions just for this, but they also have a lot more pirating going on.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, with the technology today. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss it. I do enjoy it, but I'm a little more excited after we had that little brief discussion offline before we went on, to see your excitement about the prequels. I'm always leery about stuff like that,
Sure.
I'm excited about the books. Eventually, he will finish. I bet you they're done. He just hasn't released them, or he's close. That would be
Yeah,
my guess.
I think Wins is done, and I think Dream will be, probably within the year, because he wants to work on the prequels. I think he's excited about that more so than he is.
He's gonna be working on the prequels with.
Right, right.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
there's 5 in production, and or 5 in process of being greenlit, and he's involved in 3 of them. So
Cool.
yeah, and obviously he's consulting on the others, but definitely working with the author or screenplay writers, or however you want to say it. So
Right.
yeah,
Now, can I ask you a question?
sure.
Now, when do you want to see the battle with the dead, as I put it, with the Night King? I'd like to. I don't want to see it late. I want to see that resolved pretty quick, not quickly, but early on, where that starts, so they can move on to. Do you think that's coming at the end, which it probably is, or do you think it's going to be like in the middle, where they can sort of explain how things go afterwards?
Well, we already know that the director is that's in charge of most of the battles is doing the 3rd episode.
Okay,
So we kind of
that's a good
get
hint.
we kind of get the fact that the 3rd episode is going to be the biggest battle, and we've heard some details about that in regards to production and nighttime shoots and things like that. So I definitely think we're good at it in the 3rd one. I don't think that'll be the end, though. I think we'll be getting battles all the way to the very end of the season, including 6. So we still have Cersei to deal with, and we
Yeah,
still have things going on at King's Landing with the Golden Company and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think it'll be over once that episode 3 is finished.
that's cool.
Because
I
you got
just
to
don't want.
remember the books are called Winds of Winter is the next book, and then The Dream of Spring, which is kind of like a anticipation of something good.
Right.
So there has to be some kind of not a happy ending, but you know what I mean. It'll
A
be a
hopeful,
resolution.
a
Hmm.
resolution, some hope.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just, and that makes sense to me. I didn't want it to be right at the very end, where then they're really rushing through the last episode, and then you might have to read a little scroll saying, "And this is what happened later on." I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be. My theory was, and I think someone said it on your channel too, and I had talked. I was on. God, he's changed his, Johnny the Wildling, as I call him, Johnny the King. He's changed his name so many times. I think that the Night King will bypass Winterfell and go to King's Landing just to increase his army. Because that was always my thought process, and then go back up with a larger army because you don't have to feed the army and stuff. You know what I mean? They're dead.
You're going to be disappointed.
You think they're gonna go? You think they're gonna go right to Winterfell?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we've got this week was an article in Entertainment Weekly with the actor that plays the Night King, and he revealed that he does have a target. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Maybe he's going right at Jon Snow then.
Well, that's the anticipation is who is he going after, because he's already gone after Bran. I don't think he went as hard as people think, because at the cave of Bloodraven, he would have been able to see that there was another door and you know, captured him there. But and besides, how fast can a girl pull a crippled boy in a sled? You know, not very fast. Yeah. So they could have caught up to him easily.
Do you think that he needed Bran to get on the other side of the wall so he could get through to the other, like break the wall? No, you don't think that was? I saw that like
that's
theory
why he got the dragon.
In
the chat, they were talking about the new Lord of the Rings series, talking about being not excited about what's coming up, but Amazon Prime has paid $250 million for the rights to do a show about a Lord of the Rings prequel, and it's not going to be Silmarillion material. It's not going to be Lord of the Rings material or The Hobbit. It's going to be totally independent. And that's just for the rights to do the show. They've also invested another $250 million in cast, production, etc. But part of that is they have a 5-year commitment. So we know we're going to get 5 years of this Lord of the Rings prequel, if you will. So that I'm super excited about. That's going to be probably the next biggest YouTube sensation as far as that goes, and that'll be starting this year. So we're going to get that. Plus May 10th, we're going to get a movie about John himself, and so Tolkien is going to, you know, they're going to take you through his life, and that's going to be done by Fox, totally independent from anything else. So I'm really glad that the Tolkien family has released some of this material. Can't wait to get the Children of Húrin, the Fall of Gondolin. Beren and Luthien will be off the charts. It'll be better than any kind of Avatar type show where there's different kinds of creatures and things like that. The Silmarillion has animals in it and fantasy that we haven't seen in anything. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of material that they can do from, I know, reading the books. And if you go to the back of the books, or the three, they have the and you can see, oh, that's kind of interesting. You know, they just give you like, this is what happened prior, this is what happened after. So there's a lot of material for a prequel there. That could be, if it's done right, and it seems like you just said they invested a lot of money. So
yeah, $250 million just for the rights is 5 times more than what they got for The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. So Amazon is serious about this.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's the cast on it so far is all young people. I mean, super young, like Arya now's age. Maisie Williams, I guess, is the best way to describe that. But so super young. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop that and start the casting and everything.
Well, we're always looking for something to watch, and I hope it's good.
It'll be fantastic. But back to the Game of Thrones. Obviously, we're progressing towards the end, like you said, and I want to know what it is that draws you to Game of Thrones from the beginning.
Okay, great question. Originally, I tried to watch when it first came out.
That's what I'm here for, buddy.
Yeah, you're awesome, my friend. I tried to watch the episode 1 when it originally came out, like the very first episode. You know, everyone's talking about this. people who had read the books at work said this is going to be fun. I had not read the books, didn't know anything about it. I watched 15 minutes, and I went, this isn't for me, right? It wasn't. Then there was a marathon, and my friend said, there's a like where they're putting them. I think it was probably before season 2 or something. And I sat and I watched the first episode. No, it's okay. And then because I could watch the next one right away, I got hooked. So I actually came to Game of Thrones really season 2, where I basically watched season 1 when they had one of the HBOs had a marathon. It had to be before the next, like probably the next season's coming up. Sure. And I watched it. I went that next week to Barnes and Noble, and I bought the first, whatever books were available.
Yeah.
I think there were 3 available or something, or whatever. I bought them all. Like there was a packet, like whatever, how many books came in the thing, and I started reading it, and that's what got me there. And what was very intriguing is it's a great story, of just these houses trying to hold power. And what I've come across, I joke about the Starks and stuff. I don't dislike them. I'm just saying, like, to me, they were probably the most noble people, the up front sort of, and they're pretty much all dead because I think they're a little too much up front. But that's what drew me to and that's a clumsy way of getting there. It's a good story, and it's one of those things, again, I didn't think I'd like. Just like Lord of the Rings, I didn't think I'd like. Talking trees, that's kind of silly to me. But, you start watching it. I go out, I buy the book, I read it, I told you I'm not a voracious reader, but when I find something I like, I want to read a lot about it, and I want to enjoy it. Now, the thing I'm a Stannis Baratheon guy. I always liked Stannis. Not to go backwards, I know he's dead, but I didn't like what they did with his character on the show. I don't know if they're going to follow suit in the books. I kind of hope not, because I just thought he was he was my favorite character. Once he was introduced and you got to see him, I like Stannis and Davos. I compare them in my mind. I always thought they were like Kissinger and Nixon. It just it's a weird dynamic between both of them. They're just sort of yin and yang, and somehow it worked. But I like Stannis. In the last season, I'm not a big Cersei fan, but when she basically did have that Godfather moment where she whacked the heads of the families out, I went there and I kind of giggled. I went, good for you. Good for you. You got rid of them all. Good for you. There's just so many. You know what they do well on this show? You could take a character, like Jamie, right? He pushed a kid out of a window, right? Not a really nice thing to do. Yeah. But yet, they've brought it around where you kind of, for me, I still can't forgive him for pushing a kid out the window, but they've made him where I like the character. They do the Hound, another one of my favorite characters. They give you the full circle where he did this awful thing, but then they give you the background. And I'm a big Hound fan. I'm glad he didn't die off. I don't know if people who read the books, I didn't think he died in the books either. It's just because there was another character that came up, and I was like, they mentioned him, like that could be the Hound.
Yeah, that's a gravedigger.
Yes. It's just it's well written and well adapted to the screen. I think they rush some stuff, and I get that. You can't put everything in. I'm not going to go through the whole Dorne thing, but that's what. It's just when something's a good story, it could be about knitting, and I'll sit and watch. Not that there'd be a good story about knitting, but it's just a really good story.
You haven't seen that one yet?
No, I haven't found that one yet, but when I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that I like about George's writing, specifically about the books, is the POV part of it.
Yes, very interesting.
We really have to look at who is telling the story and what is their motivation before we can understand the material that's in the chapter. If you don't know the character enough to do that, then it's really hard. And that's one of the things that the show kind of misses, because Cersei's lying, or Littlefinger's lying, or Ned is making a stupid mistake here.
Yeah.
Especially in light of the fact that he's dead. But
Yeah.
it's kind of obvious. But during the story, you don't see it that way.
No.
Plexi actually has a question I wanted to respond to.
Okay.
Because she always asks great questions. Plexi Bertrand says,
Yep.
now that Game of Thrones is ending, what actors do you want to get a series of their own, and what kind of series would it be? Being that you're a show watcher, that's a great question.
Great question. Here's my thought process on that. I enjoy the actors as those characters. I would like to see Sean Bean do something because I like Sean
This is
Bean.
Al trying to backstep a little. He's tap dancing right now. He's mentally tap dancing.
I like Sean Bean. It is kind of funny that I think who had the chart? Did you have the chart where he dies and everything? Was that you or was that Dog? Someone had a chart. Or no, Milt.
There's actually
Milt
a video of Sean Bean dies. It's 27 deaths in a row.
Yeah, it's just I do like Sean Bean, but I don't know. That's a great question because I like these actors as the characters they're playing now. If you had brought them back,
Milt, there he is.
Sim Salabim, there's Milt. That's a great question, and I'd have to see it first because I'll go back to MASH when Colonel Blake leaves the show to go to another show, and it was a horrible failure. And people liked him as Colonel Blake. So unless you're going to bring those characters like a prequel, which you're doing the prequel, but it's not going to have any of the characters, I would be Sean Bean because I like Sean Bean a lot. I've watched. I mean, he had a movie on Sci-Fi I watched years ago. I was like, and I already. This is after I'd seen Lord of the Rings, so I knew he was great as Boromir. Boromir. Just another great character. Those types of characters where they're faulted, and I think that's what makes Game of Thrones so interesting. They're all faulted, but there's only one real. I mean, Cersei hasn't had any redeeming qualities yet. So I mean, other than that, there's a lot of people. Joffrey did not have. She
likes walking on the streets of King's Landing.
Yes, she does. That's a good question. Who would you like to see, AU?
Well, I've always talked about the actors in other series, whether it be the guy that played Dario Naharis when he was in Deadpool. I think was the only example I could come up with of someone that I liked outside of Game of Thrones. I think Sophie Turner's probably done the best job, with the exception of Nikolai in Shot Caller. I think that Shot Caller movie, I think, was the only real movie, but all the others I've really been disappointed in.
It's just, again, when I get used to a character, that's the way I see that actor. I see these actors as game actors or actresses, as Game of Thrones actors and actresses. Again, they do other things. I couldn't even tell you what they did except for Sean Bean. I've seen him in other movies, and I can't, I know he's in Lord of the Rings, and he was in a couple other. I just don't remember
now.
He's in what?
It's called The Medicis. It's on Netflix, I think.
Oh, okay.
And his son that played Robb
I'll have
Stark.
to check that out then. I like Sean Bean, so it's tough for me because you get used to that character, and that's what I like. I mean, that's why when Stannis, to go back to my favorite character, Stannis and Davos, when they kill off Stannis, I get it. He deserved to die and this and that, but you're kind of like, when you see, because everyone kept going, oh, you don't see his death. Maybe she didn't kill him. No, she killed him. She killed him. But it would have been interesting. But
yeah, I think the actors. I think we're talking about actors that have been discovered through Game of Thrones. If you liked Sean Bean before, obviously anything that he's in is going to be great.
That would be, yes, because I saw him in Lord of the Rings.
Same with Ian Glenn, who plays Jorah Mormont. He's obviously famous for other projects.
Yeah, he has a detective, like a detective show on the BBC, which I've watched before.
Yep.
It is kind of fun to go back and you say, oh, that person's in this, that person's in that. I never knew that. And you start looking up, like I'll look up stuff on what's that, IMDb or whatever, like what else did they do kind of thing. Like Kip Harrington, the Jon Snow, is that his name, real name? Kip something, Kit
Carrington.
Kit Carrington, thank you.
Yep.
Another name I've butchered. All right.
Did I say Kit Carrington? What am I talking about? It's Harrington. I'm
Harrington.
so sorry.
All right. But like he did the remake of Pompeii.
Right.
That wasn't bad. I watched it, but again, it's
yeah.
You know, it wasn't great, but he was in it, so I watched it
too, which is really weird because he's actually related to the guy that was in charge of that whole conspiracy of blowing up the king.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I watched that, and that was a 3-episode HBO kind of a thing, and it was really, really bad.
And I think we're a little skewed too when we see such good acting and such good writing. And grant you, they had wonderful material from the book. A little disappointed with some of the stuff they did with the material that was out there. That's just, and again, hats off to them. I'm not saying I could do better, but you know, when you sit there and you watch something, why would you go that way? Why'd you skip over this? Or why'd you rush through that? And things like that. But
one of the things you've got to remember is that, yeah, the Starks were written exactly the way, George wanted them to be written. So that way that you fall in love with them immediately. Yeah. And then
you see all their stupid mistakes.
I was getting to that in just a second. But yeah, they obviously make some mistakes. Who would you say is the biggest mistake maker of the Starks?
Ah, God, I love Ned so much. You know, I'm not going to say Ned because he was trying to help out his friend, you know, King Rob, who another. It's his young son Rob, and he made the huge mistake. The whole when you cross, you could not. Here's the thing: the phrase he was told, "Don't trust them." You needed them, don't trust them. You know, always late Walter Frey, and his father had told him all about that. And then in the show, we'll stay away from the books for now because they do. It's basically the same, but you know, he's supposed to marry a Frey daughter. That's the deal to cross the bridge, right? To cross the bridge and to have them on their side. And even then, he has to keep men there to keep them loyal, right? That's a huge mistake. It's just you can't trust that guy. Also, Roose Bolton, the other thing Rob did very poorly. Remember, they had what was it? I can't think of the right family, but basically his 2 sons got killed in battle, and he wanted to take revenge, and he killed the 2 Lannister cousins or something, and Rob beheaded him. That was another mistake. Was it the Karstarks?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have never done, because you just alienated a big portion of your army. You killed their leader. I get it. You're not happy with that. You know, you could have took those boys' bodies and buried them somewhere. I'm not condoning what the Karstarks did. I'm saying you have to think to win the battle.
Right.
So he alienated that, which then in turn gave Roose Bolton the idea, right? This guy's going to make a lot of mistakes. Yeah, this guy's going to make a lot of mistakes and get us all killed. And Roose cuts the deal with the Lannisters to take him out. So I think Rob was the one, besides Rickon not zigzagging at the end. But I give him a little break on that. Did everyone yell at the TV zigzag? I was yelling zigzag at the TV as soon as he started running. Zigzag, zigzag.
Hilarious.
Serpentine Sheldon. No one's gonna know that joke, but yeah, I think Rob. A lot of, and he's young. I get that. And in the books, he's even younger, right?
Right.
And I thought his mother didn't do him justice. I'm not a big Catelyn fan. One of my least favorite characters in the everything. And I think it's how she treats Jon poorly, Jon Snow. I think it's Rob who's made the most, because Ned, yes, I don't want him to go to King's Landing, you know, but he's going there. Though he does tell Cersei his whole plan, and that's pretty effing stupid. That's pretty. She warned him too. Even Littlefinger says, "Don't trust me," and what does he do? They have that fatal flaw. They put faith. Same thing. Rob sent. Yeah, it's a toss-up between Ned and Rob, but I'll throw it to Rob just because I like Ned better. He sent Theon back to the Greyjoys to try to get them on the side, and Theon, immediately buckled. Just changed. Yeah, Rob. young Rob. Bad mistakes all around. Now he could win battles, but the car stock to me, to you, my opinion, the car stocks, whatever. When he executes the head of the family there, that was the fatal mistake, because the way I saw that, and you saw it, and again, I read the book, so you know what's gonna. I knew what's coming up, right?
Right.
But if just thinking on the show, then you see what Bruce Bolton does. It just, because he must have sat there and went, yeah, this kid's gonna get us all killed. We've already lost this. He's gonna marry this girl. We're gonna lose the phrase, and he just cut a deal. And it's awful.
I never blamed Rob, to be honest with you, only because in the books, obviously he was doomed from the point that he got the first arrow. Once he was wounded and had to be taken care of, I knew that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah,
because he was drugged, he was injured, just like his father.
Yeah, the seed of the poppy seed. I mean the milk of the poppy or whatever. They had to drink that stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an opioid.
So yeah, once that happened, I thought for sure we were in for it. But in the show, obviously it was much different. It was him seeing someone that had compassion for people that didn't need to have compassion for, which I thought was an interesting introduction into that concept, especially during war. We don't ever think about that. Strangers being nice to people that are wounded and not part of their clan.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That's always made me curious about the Silent Sisters too, because we know that there are characters that we don't know where they're at or what they're doing. And yet we have all of these women, for the most part, as Silent Sisters, taking care of the dead, wandering around with their faces covered, totally enclosed. We have no idea who the Silent Sisters are or what their purpose is, but that always intrigued me. Did you ever think of that when you were reading the books? Who might be a Silent Sister that's not around anymore?
No, that's totally escaped me. It's been a while since I finished the books, because I'm waiting for our good friend George to get the other two out. But that's a good point, especially with the TV, when you say where he sees someone showing sympathy to people that they're not really their clan, their nationality, their families, their houses. So that's an interesting point. You can't execute someone and then basically, I want to say it was a lot of his army is going to be not happy with him.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can't do that. I mean, I had discussions with people at work. I go, I know this sounds awful. I'm not saying they should have killed the cousins of the Lannisters, but you can get rid of those bodies. Sure. And you can deal with that numbnut later if you want to. Win the war. Win the war, right?
Right.
Because
I think definitely you want to take him and put him in a jail cell or whatever you want to do, even if you sent him back north to Winterfell or wherever that he would be secure. Would be the best way, because he's not getting out. He has no desire. All he wanted to do was get his revenge and move on.
Yeah, it's just because, again, to me, that was the whole thing that got Roose Bolton thinking, saying, we've lost this. He's going to marry this. And I don't know if he had already married. It was close. They knew that was his significant other in a way, right?
Right.
So I can't remember if he had married her already or not, but it was close. Like they know, and he must be sitting there going, well, now you just messed up the deal with the Freys, who are a-holes. Oh God, I hate the Freys. That was a stand-up and feel-good moment when they got theirs.
Yeah.
That was a bad decision. And then the Ned with the Cersei, and again, he's trying to be nice, to say, hey, leave. I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want your kids to be hurt. But I know, and I'm going to tell King Rob, not knowing that Cersei's one step ahead of them, right? That she's having King Rob basically, hopefully whacked, which he was, because he got drunk on the boar hunt and the boar gores him. And the other thing with Ned, it's a toss-up between Ned and Rob, but I just like Ned better. When he goes to Renly, He goes, I need your help. And Renly says, oh, I'll do it, but you have to put me on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to sit there and weigh the options. Stannis isn't coming. Stannis
Right.
isn't there.
Yeah, he's already left King's Landing,
Right.
years
That's
ago.
not,
So
yeah, and that's not an option, right? But he kept going back to Stan. I would have been, again, it's the writing. I get it. We're just doing this for ha-has. Monday morning quarterback,
yep.
generaling, whatever. You have to sit there and go, well, Renly will help me. Renly likes me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Renly's going to backstab me. Okay.
But you don't
I'll
know
do it.
that, right?
Right. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't. But you see who he puts his faith into. Littlefinger and the knights. What are they called? The guards of the city. I can't think of the night. The gold cloaks. Is that what they're called?
Well, that's the city watch. Yeah.
The city
gold
watch.
cloaks. Mm-hmm.
And the guy who ran them was another a-hole, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
you see that happening, and you're just like, oh, Ned, don't do it. It's just,
Yeah, especially when we know that they're in Littlefinger's pocket, but Ned
right, and we get
that.
to see that.
Yeah.
We see that. He doesn't. I get that. But Littlefinger did say, don't trust me. And also, he did fight a duel with Ned's brother, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gee, Ned, do you think you might want revenge on your family?
Yeah, that was one of the cool scenes is when Littlefinger reveals the fact that he is not interested in anything other than screwing everybody, and that was pretty cool. I like that. Chris
I can
is here. Say hi to Stratomatic Delaware.
Hello, Stratomatic Delaware.
Is what he says.
My good friend Chris from Stratomatic Delaware. Please check out that wonderful channel and check out all the channels in this chat and in the community, regardless of whatever they do, because they do a wonderful job.
Yeah, I always subscribe to everybody. It's just
I do the same thing.
Best way to know if they ever do make content and we can watch it and enjoy it just like we have everybody else.
Listen to AU. AU speaks the truth. Yeah, what was really cool, and I don't think it's not a spoiler if we talk how Littlefinger started the ball rolling, is it? Or
no, everything's spoiled in this.
Okay.
I'm going to have Lady Gwyn from Radio Westeros in the beginning of their episodes. They say spoilers, all books, but this is spoilers for everything. So
okay. Yeah. So when I was reading the books, right, and then as I was starting to get through the first book, I'm kind of, and whenever you start to find out about Littlefinger, I'm sitting there going, he did this. And then when they revealed it on the show, I mean, he did it. He got the ball in motion. He started all this chaos. And he wanted one family pitted against the other. Like you said, he just wanted to get everybody. He wanted his revenge for whether it's the way he grew up, and I'm going to show all these people. Very smart character, but in the end, he got his too. And to me, I know a lot of people didn't want to see him go. I liked it. It was a feel-good moment for me. I hate people. I hate character. I mean, they're great characters, right? Joffrey was a great character.
Oh, yeah.
God. But, he's an a-hole.
It's good to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see him go. I always call it like that stand-up and feel-good moment,
Speaking of which, what is your favorite feel-good moment of the show?
I liked when the Hound. There's okay. Number one, but see, it's tainted. Now you'll realize why once I say that. Stan is talking to his young daughter when they're at Castle Black, and she goes, "Did you want me here?" And if you remember that scene, and the only reason why this is one of these scenes I remember pretty good because I watched it over and over again because I really love that scene where I would just fast forward to that scene and watch it. He's got like the risk board out, trying to figure out how he's going to win this battle. And I think he realizes, just by the look of it, I can't win this battle. I don't have the manpower. I can't win it. And he's just kind of moving the things around. He's looking, and he's kind of doing this. And then he hears someone at the door, and he props up, very proper. And his daughter comes in, and she has the grace, and she goes, "Did you want me here?" He goes, "Of course I wanted you here. Why would you think I wouldn't want you? Mother says you didn't want me here." And again, not fond of mother, hitting her mother. And then he has that great moment, the father of the year moment, right? He explains everything. They wanted me to send you to your death. I'm paraphrasing. They wanted me basically to send her away, let her die. I said, no, that's my kid, right? and you could tell he felt guilty. He had bought a toy for her, something that is totally out of character. But even he was so happy to have a child, right? And these are things maybe I read into it more, and this is why I liked Stannis so much. Because there's other things I don't like the way he did, but there's things that brought me. I like this guy, right? He gets the toy and it's diseased. Remember, because he said she
The
like laid
blanket,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's where. And then he goes, I went everywhere. I went everywhere to get the best maesters and this and that to make sure you lived. You're your daughter. You're the queen. I love you. And it was a really wonderful moment. That's my feel good moment. And then you know what happens where
Oh yeah.
I almost quit watching the show. That's how pissed off I was, because I get it. It's fake. It's a show. But I honestly, even if they write it in the book, I don't think that character would have done it. I just can't picture this man doing that. He'll make other stupid mistakes, but to kill his own child, I just don't. I'm skewed. I like the character, so I don't want him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see. I'm hoping in the book it's a different scenario, that maybe I don't want to see the little girl. That was one of my favorite characters, his little daughter, Shireen.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
she was probably the most innocent, most nice. She taught Davos how to read, and she was just a nice, wonderful character.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. And also, again, this might be strange to other people. The Hound, when he went, he basically, I don't know the season or the episode, but Joffrey's smacking around John, oh God, his wife, and I can't think of the Stark girl.
Marjorie?
No,
Oh,
no,
Sansa.
Sansa. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm bad with names. I apologize. He's hitting, and like you could just see he
My name
kind
is
of.
John. No, just
Yes,
kidding.
your name is John. No, I wrote it down. Sansa, and he's not smacking her around, but he's having one of the King's
Mm-hmm.
Guards smack her around, and then the Hound just had enough. If you remember that scene, he kind of just walks over, gives the glare, and that guy, and he looks at him. And that guy, even if the king ordered him to hit, he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
Also, when he went to save Sansa when she was going to be raped, I just like that. And there's another one I never thought after watching him. He killed the little boy, right? When in season 1,
Yeah,
when
the
he's ordered
butcher
to go
boy.
get the kid,
Mm-hmm.
and he says he ran, he shouldn't have ran. And you're like, oh, that's a jerky thing to do. But then you see, and then he tells the story of why his face is why he doesn't like fire. And that's another one. Those are the ones. The Stannis one to me stands out, and a lot of stuff with that. Oh, another one when I don't know if this is because it made me happy. They had the fight scene with the Hound and Arya in the bar, the tavern, and
Right.
at the end he got her pony. And it's just like that was great. When that writing and the way they did that was, I have to say, that is my favorite stuff in the show. The Hound and Arya. I think it was Dog we were talking the other night.
Yeah, he mentioned about that
I
being a
would.
spin-off.
Oh my God, just them going on adventures. I would watch that. I guess that's what I want to see, a spin-off with Arya and the Hound. So those are my stand-up, and I probably missed something. Again, I'm not a big Dany fan. Not a
Well,
big Dany
you
fan.
picked a scene that I forgot about, to be honest with you. That moment when Stannis was talking to Shireen and making the reason why he committed to healing her, and
Yep.
that feel-good moment, I guess, went away for
Yeah,
obvious reasons.
Yeah, and I didn't, maybe they're going to write that in the book. I hope he doesn't. I know it's supposed to be the same. I hope not. It's just, Stannis to me is a really intriguing character because he's the only one who actually tried to help the realm when he goes north to stop the wildling invasion. He didn't have to do that. He did it. Now he wanted to, again, Davos kind of says, hey, we should do this. And again, I don't like everything Stannis does. It just, to me, he's an intriguing character. And that whole scene, I just go back to, I think in his head he knew. He didn't want to admit that no matter what, he was going to commit to the plan and do it, whether it meant his death. Because if you remember that scene, again, he has the war map out and he's kind of moving stuff around. And he's not one of these guys to be disinterested. When he's looking at it, I think the way I interpreted that was, I can't win, but I have to try. I can't win. And then his daughter comes in, and it's just, to me, that's probably my favorite scene. And then, another one, but it's sad. When the wildlings were attacking the wall, and they sent 3 or 4 guys to stop the giant from coming through, and they do the oath.
Right.
As that was a great. I'm getting the goosebumps now. I know it's a show, but just that was
Yeah.
that was well done, emotional, and they're saying, and this is this, and I don't know the whole. I'm just, but they're going through their vows, and the giant's going to come through the door, and they're waiting, and they all die. Everyone dies. So those were Stannis, though. That would definitely be, because that's the scene I remember probably the most out of any scene of all these years of Game of Thrones. And again, I'm biased. That was
Hmm.
my favorite. I liked that character, and then they just gave it that, and then they went that other direction where he sacrificed, and that was dreadful, because as I'm saying, that's my favorite scene. Feel good. The worst scene to me was that whole the burning of Shireen. And when he asks her, if you remember, he goes, "Would you help me? You'd want to help me, right?" I'm like, "Say no, say no." If you say no, he'll be like, "Okay." If you say yes, they're gonna burn you. Say
Mm.
no.
Yeah, she's a good screamer too. She
Uh,
definitely had
that
that
was
blood curdling
oh,
emotional.
and now I
Yeah,
got the shivers.
yeah, yeah. Because you can't ever imagine anyone
No,
for any
no,
reason.
no,
Yeah, I would never.
no,
I only have one child, and I would never
no,
ever even think of doing that for
no. I, I,
uh to
no.
save the world. I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Neither would I. I'd be like, it's the world's time to go. It's
Exactly.
the world's
It'll be a
time to
lot.
go.
It'll be a lot less space for
I tell you
everybody.
what, go find a horrible convict in jail, burn him or her. Not any kid, no one's
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
But yeah, that's uh, and Davos had a lot of good moments too, where he just
Mm.
another one when he says Jon Snow had been assassinated. They're trying to bring him back, and he goes, "I'm not good with a sword." When they're sitting there waiting to do battle, that was Davos and Stannis, Stannis, and the Hound. And I know I'm forgetting other, but those are the 3 characters in Area. Like again, my favorite thing, Area and the Hound. It was entertaining. It was action. It was funny. They had that moment where again he shows she wants to go run in to help her brother and her mother and this and that, and the Hound basically kind of like knocks her out. And later on, he's talking about they were dead. They were dead. There's nothing we could do. You would have just got killed. And she says we should have tried, right? And
Hmm.
I think that does. I interpret things. I think as that goes along, and he still has her, that plays in his. Now he still does horrible things. Like I didn't like when he mugged the old guy, and then he felt bad. Then they. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry, but that does have. I think it did play in his mind, like maybe we should have tried. You know, and I think he really does like Arya. Because he protected her. He tried to mentor her in a weird, in a different kind of way, and she didn't kill him at the end when she could have, and she took him off the list. Remember, she no longer sit in the Hound.
Right. Right.
So I guess that's my explanation for that.
No, that's awesome. I really enjoyed that breakdown of those moments because there were so many in the last 7 seasons. I don't know how you could even think about
Well,
them, but
those
that
are
was
my
pretty impactful.
with my favorite. What I do with what I done with the show with my favorite characters, I like to go back and just watch certain scenes over. Again, I get it. People like Danny. I'm not a big Danny fan. I'm not a big Jon Snow fan either. I'm not. I like him. I'm definitely not a Lannister fan, though. As I stated, I kind of giggled and laughed and said, "Good for you, Cersei," when she basically again had that Godfather 2 moment where you know, let's get all my enemies in one place and kaboom, problem solved. Brilliant. They all underestimated her. They thought she was broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what are some of your feel good moments?
Well, one of the things that I always enjoyed is anything at Winterfell, starting from the beginning when Arya comes out and shoots the first arrow and it goes to a bullseye, and I'm like, I'm gonna like this kid. When you see Bran up climbing and looking for the king's caravan coming north, that was from the beginning I was getting feels about the Starks. Everything that had to do with Winterfell, I think, was awesome for me. the first time we get to go into the crypts with
Yeah.
Ned and Robert, and you're realizing that this friendship is not only old, but Ned really has a true appreciation of the kingship, not necessarily of Robert per se,
Right.
but he is guarding his feelings and presenting honor to the king, which a lot of times characters don't do. You'll see them and they'll kind of eye roll the king, or they'll scoff at the king, or whatever. And in our world, we have no appreciation of our city managers, our governors. We
Yeah.
don't have any kind of um, honor bestowed to someone in power. And I thought Ned did a great job with that, and that's one of the reasons that attracted me to him from the beginning. And it did carry over from that Boromir character. I want to say
Yeah.
goodbye to Nancy T. She's going to take off, and
Take
thank you
care,
so much
Nancy
for
T.
being here. I really appreciate it as always. Love you, and thanks for
Um,
coming by.
can I read something in the chat?
Yeah, please.
Mo Castillo says the King of the North scene, that was a good scene too. I did like that scene where
Mhm.
they, King of the North, King of the North, with Rob and even with John. That's a good scene. But it just, the ones that stick out to me obviously were the ones I said. So there's a lot of good scenes. So
It's funny because the King of the North I thought was a little premature. I do understand why um, the Umbers and that went with Rob to King's Landing to fight, but I don't understand why they wanted to make him King of the North and bring that back. Just because of the way that things were going. Ned was dead, and Rob was so young, and yeah, he won a few battles, but I guess it just shows the emotional connection you have when you're in battle,
yeah,
and how you want your leader to be um, lifted up, I guess is the best way. But
yeah.
yeah, I thought that was a little premature by most of the men of the North.
And I think Bruce Bolton did too, because he took it in his own hands later on. So um, the did we freeze up?
No. I'm just
Oh,
listening to you.
oh, I'm
I
sorry.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about the question I was going to ask next is in regards to moments like you were talking about with Littlefinger, where you you saw what was happening and you were like, "Don't do that," or with Shireen, just tell Dad, "No, I don't want to help you."
Yeah, say no. Just say no.
Was there something in the books that made you think that what we were being told was a lie in regards to the way it was presented?
On the show, you mean?
Well, yeah, or reading the books and then it's being in the show, where we have to get that information from the character, and yet we really can't believe it, or it's not the truth. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
One of the things that I truly believe is the Tower of Joy scene is a total sham. Everything in that story is not true. One of the reasons is because when Ned's brother goes to King's Landing and tries to confront Rhaegar with taking his sister,
Yeah.
is that he brings 5 or 6 people, and one of them is the same person that Ned mentions that he takes to King's Land, or takes to the Tower of Joy. It is Brandon's squire, his friend from Winterfell. And we also hear in that story that Ned and Howland Reed destroy the tower, and then they bury them in their 7 uh, gravestones. So I don't believe any of that story. I don't believe, just literally anything. I don't believe, Arthur Dane was dead at that time, et cetera, et cetera.
So
Um,
you think it was more of a propaganda thing
well, I think it was a truth that Ned told himself so many times that
that
he
he's,
started to believe it,
yeah,
because he did not want uh, any of the Baratheons or the Lannisters
to
or
know.
the Targaryens to know what really happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah, yeah, I get that. So that would be where Ned was trying to do the similar thing in a way. Yeah, like when he told Cersei, "I know you're lying. I'm going to tell," but he wanted to do it just sort of quietly. But once you tell the king, he's going to be pretty pissed off. So yeah, I get that. What would be? What would I think? I had one too, and I just forgot.
Well, I'll give you another example, and interrupt me when you find it,
Yep.
or if you think about it. But Bran was at the tree, the werewood with the
Yep.
Bloodraven, and he gets the vision of the Tower of Joy. Same thing, the same story from a different perspective, and yet it's being told to him that way.
Yeah.
He's
No,
also
I
being
know.
shown. Go ahead.
That's a good one. I think when Bran sees the Night King might not necessarily be what we think it is. I still think there's a connection with them somehow. So I don't know if that's where you're going with that. And I'm trying to. I had one, and it slipped my mind. And what's going to happen is when I leave in a little bit, right? I'm going to sit there and go, ah. Um, yeah, that's a good one. I like to touch on a point, just something in the book that they didn't do justice in the show, and it's Uncle Kevin, who was a Lannister, who really didn't have chapters in the book, but was a big, I can't remember what book, but he was a big part of the storyline when he comes down to basically mentor Tommen, and he basically takes his young nephew away from Cersei, and things start to move well in the book. And things are running more smoothly in the kingdom, and then he gets assassinated, and they have that great quote when he's wondering why he's being assassinated. He goes, but I made things work better. And the guy says, yeah, too good. uh, Sometimes good people are on the wrong side. I didn't think they did justice to the character. Obviously it was a peripheral character, but that was a character in the book that really intrigued me, Uncle Kevin, Kevin Lannister.
Hmm.
I thought that was really well done in the book. In the show, I didn't think it was so well done. I get it; they can't touch on it, but I thought it was an interesting storyline. You know, that they kind of gave some of that to Tywin a little bit when we went there and started to run things, and then we know what happened to him. He died on the pooper. But yeah, Uncle Kevin, I that was another intriguing storyline to me. I actually liked that peripheral character.
Yes.
Do you remember what I'm talking? Like in the
Especially
book,
with Lancel being his son, it's
yeah.
like there's a lot to be thought about here. So yeah.
In the book, they did again. He's not a main character, but they gave him a lot of, in my opinion, writing time because they're just showing in the peripherals, if I'm using that right, like in the background, what he's doing. He's always saying, and at the end, he's nice. People like him. He's still a Lannister. He wants the Lannisters to stay in power, but he knows we can't do it this way. You can't treat everyone badly. These are the people we rule over. You got to treat them nicer. And he's making things work right. And I want to say it was the Spider. Uh, yeah, he
Bars.
assassinated him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
because they
crossbow.
killed. Yeah, right. But I want to say the line was he had various had sometimes good people are on the wrong side,
Hmm.
and that was a really well written line, I thought, by George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, it was the only time Varys in the books ever did anything physical that we know
Yep.
of,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, because he has the little kids, the birds or whatever he calls them,
Right.
uh, lure, and you can see how nice Kevin is. He's giving them candy and money, and just yeah, go, thank you, and he goes there, and Pycelle's dead because they've already killed Pycelle's, and it's a great. That's a side story that was really well done for something that was not, like you said, each character had a chapter, and it's like a peripheral thing, but I
Mhm.
thought they did that well. It's weird the things I pick up on in like what I enjoy. Some people might not. I'm just saying, well, that's interesting. Here's this character. I always thought that's a cool concept. Okay, most people probably think that guy's on the wrong side. Most people don't like the Lannisters, right?
Right.
Now he comes in and he says, well, we have to make things run smoother. And to me, yes, it's for our house to survive, but also he has some compassion, because if you're have no compassion, that's not going to work. You're like, oh, we can just beat them into submission. It doesn't matter, like they've been doing, right? And that was I always liked that character of Uncle. Now on the show they really don't get into it. I understand it's you can't do everything. I know that's not what what you think a lie is, but that's and again I had a good one and I forgot. So, but I just wanted to mention I've always liked the uncle in the book, the Uncle Kevin peripheral story, the background. It was very interesting to me. The
Yeah,
story that
because
I thought.
he wasn't doing anything wrong. He had served Tywin for years.
Yes.
He had children the way, everything was supposed to, and they
Yep.
served the crown, and
Yep. And
the
now he had
crown
an
screwed him.
opportunity. He had an opportunity to give back more, and he did.
Hmm.
And again, I get it; it's for the family. In a weird way, I related him to Stannis, where Stannis, in the Stannis character, he said, I had to go win this, hold out here and win this battle. I had to hold this position, and we held it, and it was miserable, and we had no food, and this and that, and I didn't get any. At the end, I wasn't rewarded, but I didn't complain, right? My
Exactly.
brother, my younger brother got everything, right? And I didn't complain. Now it's my time. Now I didn't like what he did with the brother, with the whole spirit that the black ghost, whatever you want to call it. Another character I really hate when she dies. It's a stand up a good field, a good moment is Melisandre. I hate her, hate. But I just always equated those two guys like very close in their character because they're both
With
in.
Renly and Kevin.
No, Stannis and Kevin. Just
Oh,
that they're
gotcha.
trying to.
The
Now
younger
we get more.
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, we get more Stannis stuff because he's a bigger character and he has faults. He makes horrible mistakes. But again, I'm biased. I enjoyed the character. Um, yeah, I wish the Uncle Kevin thing. I really did like that.
Hmm.
I thought it's a very underrated. Another one. Um, if I could bring. Was it Ciro?
Pharrell.
The
Hmm. The
Yeah,
sword
Cyril
master.
Farrell,
Yeah.
right? He was the instructor.
Right.
I love that character. I always thought that he might have been a faceless man.
Oh,
I
definitely. I
I,
think
I
it's
think he's
100%.
I think he's protecting like all through the thing. I think he was protecting Arya because in the book, I don't know. I can't remember the show as much, but in the book, I'm almost positive Ned kept saying, "And of all things, protect my daughter." Protect my daughter. So and
Yeah.
he was a great character, and that's one that really I was so happy to see on the screen after reading. I was so happy to, and again, different way the look in the book. Yeah, I think he was bald, and in the on the show he obviously was more swarthy, more like Southern European
Debonair.
looking. He had the hair, the curly hair, but that was a great care. I was so happy to see that one. I could, where there's other things like Doran that they butchered, in my opinion. That was another um, character I really enjoyed. I guess I like peripheral characters a lot. I don't know why, but
No, because there's so many, and he's developed them so well. Um,
yeah,
I
his writing
I
style is
think you're
excellent.
gonna absolutely. One of the things I definitely want to talk about is season 8.
Yeah,
Where
I'm
do you
sorry.
think? No, 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 no. Because we have to get to season 8, and most people honestly don't know how you really feel about some of these other characters, and that's in the storyline. So I wanted to get a little bit of a development there.
Okay.
One of the things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just throw out the characters now. I think that's if you want, throw it that way. I'll give you my thoughts on that if that's what you want to do.
Well, I was thinking where I was more interested in where do you want it to go?
Oh, okay. I already like what you said to me about around season. Episode 3 is going to be probably a big battle. I would like to see the storyline with the Night King be brought up and ended where we still have at least 2 episodes. So I want to see the aftermath. You know, I'd like to see that. Okay, 6 episodes. By episode 4, I want that storyline done. Not done, but I mean the battle. We are going to all assume that the Night King loses, though he might not. There might be some sort of truce or whatever. I like to see however that story goes, that we get some sort of conclusion by episode 4, so we can see the aftermath of that. I'm not saying that story doesn't have to continue on, but like the aftermath, like, well, now how do we deal with Cersei, and how do we deal with this, and how do we deal with that? I'm seeing, again, I think that I thought they're going to go to bypass and go to King's Landing, and I had my own little fun theory, like, oh, Cersei's going to be queen. She's just going to be the Night King's queen. You know what I'm saying? That's the way and then they're not going to
That's
do
a
that.
common theory, actually.
I just thought it'd be kind of interesting. She always wanted to be queen, right? Well, you're queen now. I see a lot of people, as everyone does, a lot of death. We're going to lose characters we love. Bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Who wins the Game of Thrones? Probably Dany, though she might die and stuff, and maybe it's like an heir to her. There's a rumor that there's some, I'm not going to go into that. So, but you can find it on, out there about a child being born. And
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Mrs.
Sure.
Cronall came in just for a little while. I think she's going to be on at 11. Well, in about 45 minutes. If you don't mind, Catherine, can you put a link to your live stream later on in the chat? Because that way we can go to say hello after we're done here. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
In regards to
I just think
a lot of characters.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's nothing that anyone else hasn't said. I've watched shows, sometimes I don't always jump in the chat. I always put a thumbs up. I'm listening, and then every once in a while I'll search out online just things. And Devin, the OG, is a big Game of Thrones seeker out of knowledge. He tells me a lot of things, and he's telling me that this one site, this guy's dead on usually. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that. There's going to be a lot of deaths, in my opinion. I'm going to be sad. I think the Hound will fight. We want the Clegane Bowl, right? We want that. I want to see that.
I'm not a fan of it, but
no, you don't want to see that? I want to see that.
The reason I say that is because when we were in the first season and we saw the Tournament of the Hand, and we saw the Mountain cut the neck off of his horse and start battling with the Sandor.
Yeah.
You got to remember, they were both battling each other. They weren't doing any. I mean, that was full on.
Oh yeah.
A battle.
Great scene.
And Sandor was so good at battling that when he was called to drop to his knee, he dropped to his knee in a way that was epic. I mean, that was just perfect. And it just showed that he's capable of taking the Mountain out without any problem.
Excellent point.
Yeah,
I like that. That's fun. I don't think the Hound makes it, unfortunately. I don't think. You know who I'd like to? I'd like to see Tormund make it for some reason. I just like the character. He always makes me laugh, so I like that character. I think there's just gonna be. I don't know. I'm just gonna enjoy it. And there'll be lots of discussion on who goes and when. I could see Dany dying. I could see Jon dying. I really could. I could see something, because in the books, there's another character that they don't really use, or they're not going to use in the show, and who's a Targaryen, and he's an interesting character, and I think they might do something with that, with a possible, if there's a child, that's a possibility, in my opinion. So
yeah, definitely lots of deaths for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Everyone's done that already, and it's not that. I mean, I'm going to just say the same names. I'd like to see Davos make it, but I don't think he's going to. He possibly could. Maybe he's an advisor at the end, possibly. I don't see Dany, and I think Dany and Jon are going to die. I mean, something's going to.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's
that's
been foretold.
I think Tyrion makes it. I think Tyrion makes it. Again, this is stuff I read. It's not that other people haven't said that. It's just something I agree with.
Are you a fan of all of the wolf pack coming back?
All of the wolf. Oh, the wolves, the dire wolves, like that
Yeah.
big. I kind of get it, but if they didn't, I know there's a lot of people who like and I like the wolves too. I'm just saying, it could be interesting, like to come back to help against the White Walkers, possibly. I If they don't do it, am I disappointed? No, I'm happy they didn't bring dead Catelyn back. Like when I got to that part in the book, I was like, "Oh God, I thought we finally got." Okay, this is gonna sound awful. When she died, it was a sort of stand up feel good moment for me. Anyway, but I just don't like her character. Never did.
Yeah.
I hated her. I don't know why. She rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm happy they didn't do Dead Catelyn. I know there's a lot, or Lady Stoneheart, whatever the hell she was called. A lot of people were disappointed with that. I'm happy. I didn't need to see that. I'm glad they brought the Hound back, which, again, I don't think he's dead in the book. I think, like you said, he's a grave digger, which was really cool. Just to talk about the book for one quick second. When I got to that part, I'm like, that's the Hound. And I was happy about that. So,
yeah,
dog.
we have his horse there. We have his
Yep.
dog there. I mean, it's just all together pointed at him.
Dog had brought up. Oh no, I forgot it. Son of a gun. Rats. I want to bring up something we were talking about with that because it was really cool. Now I remember. Dog had said he wants these episodes, and I'm sure everyone said it. These last 6 episodes, I want, and I agree with Dog, the next to be better than the last. Is that your feeling? I don't want any for final 6 episodes. There should be no filler. I mean, everything's a filler. Don't get me wrong, but I want it to flow
I think
really
what you're
nice.
saying is the first episode in almost every season in the beginning was kind of fluffy. It
I
wasn't.
don't want that.
It had a lot of fluffy moments, anyways. And I think it's because we have to get the buildup of the story to understand the characters and to understand their motivations and that sort of thing. We're at the point now where we're not going to get a lot of new characters. We're going to get straight into battle, and everything's already laid out, and the board is set, as they say. And so I think we're going to get that.
I mean, Lord of the Rings, the board is set.
Exactly. So we're gonna get a lot of action.
You said it. I want to just I mean, we can still have all the good. Let's get to it. I don't want the. Okay, you know how they do it really well. How they go from story to story to story. Like different characters, and they're still going to do that. I want things to move quick. I don't like when the Hound in area. One of my favorite storylines. I would watch. And I just want to see that. Just get to that. That's what I want to see. It's a little different, but I just want it to flow. I don't want. There's no need, like you said. There's no more peripheral. I don't want them to introduce. See, here's my fear. They're going to bring in the Gold Company, and that's with Dario, right? Is that the same bunch of mercenaries?
He was with the Second Sons. We thought for sure that he was going to come back with the Golden Company, but we see another character, a blonde character, on the ship.
Okay, so good. That's not gonna, because I didn't want this whole weird kind of love triangle. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't care about that. You know where I was going with that? Like,
they kicked him to the curb. So I think we're good.
All right. I just want it to flow. I want it to go well. I want to enjoy it. I honestly, my predictions are just stuff I heard, just like everyone else. I hope it goes well. I don't want to be disappointed at the end. I want a conclusion. I don't want to mention another show on HBO, a Soprano conclusion. Then we sit there and you go, if anyone who didn't watch The Sopranos, the lead character is in a diner with his family. He is a mobster. Someone walks by. He's looking at everyone. They have some great, I think it's Journey music on. It's really a well done scene. And then it goes black and everyone in America thought the cable went off, right? My point is he got shot. The guy came out and shot him. And, they'll never tell you that because he went black. I want to see the end result, and then and then like a little, and this is how it was forever and ever, or something like that. For me, I want to see a conclusion. We're never going to see this again, right?
Yeah, we don't want a lost conclusion. We don't want a Lord of the Rings conclusion where it takes 40 minutes to end the story.
That was hilarious. I was at the movie theaters. And again, I read the books, and people are standing up to get out. And I go, it's not over. I'm with my friends. It's not over yet. It was like the never ending. Exactly. That is really. Oh my God, we got to do that on Chat with Al. The never ending scene at the end. That's a great one, AU. Yeah, I just want to see. You can have the conclusion like with 15 more minutes to go in this show or something, and then just give a little aftermath, like a little historical perspective. That would be kind of nice.
Here's an idea for the dog and the Westerosi Ninja: the 5 worst endings of all movies.
Oh, that's a good one. And I'd have to. Lord of the Rings should be an honorable because it just took so long.
Oh, it was amazing. What was so amazing about it is it really didn't tell the story as in the book. I mean,
because there was still
it went on for another book.
Yeah, there is still another ending, another battle at the Shire,
right,
in the book, which was awesome. And the hobbits had to win it for themselves.
Yep. You have all the sheriffs with their feathers in their hats.
Yep. So I'm gonna have to go in a little bit.
No, we can end it here. No, absolutely. We're good.
I hope I did good. I hope.
Oh, you were awesome, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't want to go too much farther anyway, so we're good. You have another live stream with Dog on the Dog Show?
Yeah, we're gonna be. I don't know. We're just gonna talk about stuff.
4:30 Eastern, or is it 7?
Dog, if you're in the chat, I want to say it's 7:30. 7:30, okay. And then next week, I believe we're gonna be because Milt's gonna be on vacation, so I'm just gonna be on with Dog while Milt's absent, so he just keeps that normal schedule.
Nice.
Because he has a nice following, him and Milt, and we want to just keep that schedule so that when Milt comes back, it's like, hey, I'm like junior guest host or whatever. But we're going to be talking about
7:30 Eastern. Okay, gotcha.
Awesome. Thanks, Dog. We're going to next Sunday, and Dog does a wonderful job with presentation along with Milt. We're going to be talking Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston. Myself and Dog's favorite movie and one of my top favorite movies, Ben-Hur. If you've not seen Ben-Hur, highly recommend it. And that's next Sunday, 7:30. And this Sunday at 7:30, we're just going to talk about a little Game of Thrones and a little sports and a little about whatever Dog wants to talk about. And I'll read off questions from the chat that you want to ask Dog. And we all hope you join Dog on the Dog Show on his channel. And remember, if I may say one more thing, please check out all the content creators in our community. There are a lot of great ones in the chat right now. If you don't know, just go next to their name. You get the 3 dots, go to their channel, subscribe, check out their videos, hit a like button. Once again, thank you to Chris from Stratamatic, Delaware for stopping by. Crossover from our sports sim portion of the community. I want to just give a few shout outs to some of my good friends, and everyone's a good friend. JD, the original Grognard, military strategy. JD, all kinds of things on Ron Juckett, Uncle Ron, as we affectionately call him, from Retro Sports Network, Stratamatic, Delaware, Chris, and the Dog Show, who's in here. And again, obviously, you must be subscribed to AU Pack Meal. If you're not, you should be. But check out, there's so many great content creators. Let's all grow together. That's the way it's going to work. And,
Amen.
And, it is. And AU helped me out on a situation when I was wrongly accused of something. And I got banned. Now, see, I got banned one time, and that was my fault. And I took my 90-day suspension and shut the hell up. Then the second time was a BS thing. You helped me out just with a few tweets where you put me in the right direction. I appreciate that. And a message. And you tweeted out to them, and I appreciate that. And it made me motivated to say, I'm not going to take this lying down. And within 24 hours, as you had told me, if you do this, this, and this, Al, and you did it really quick, and I was really appreciative of that. Do this, Al, and within 20, because someone else, it happened to someone else you knew, you'll be back up. And you were absolutely right. So, amen, brother. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. It's
you to everyone
long
in the chat.
Overdue. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for being here. You take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow with Raised Alba. By the way, excellent week that's on the lineup. Gemma from Secrets of Citadel on Tuesday. Lady Gwen from Radio Westeros on Wednesday. Thursday, Emerald City Comic-Con is going to be here in town this weekend. So I'll be live, and I'll be seeing Brienne of Tarth, Gwendolyn Christie. And then on Saturday, we have Mackenzie L. Burns, who will be on. She's also
that's my Twitter daughter.
Yep, she's on as well. So, and then the following week, we're just going to have another outstanding week as well. So you guys take care. I appreciate it. Al, you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.